Hello, everybody. This is Miami TVG. I was contemplating if I should make this video all morning, all morning long. That I was in that contemplation mode if I should make this video in regarding the college football, um, college football and how they rank certain teams um, and how they worked in the returning some of the numbers and where they place in the college football playoffs. And I thought about it. I really, really thought about it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give my 2 cents in. So, just to recap what happens. Yesterday, this was during the Panthers game, I think. They have put University of Miami at number 12. Number 12 in the rankings. So our final top 25 is at 20 or at number 12. But a couple of teams that I feel like was more deserving, like the Hurricanes, even if we make the playoffs and get our asses kicked, we make the playoffs, right? However, number 11 is the Alabama Crimson Tide. It may not be such a big deal, except a couple of shady things. Number one, and it's no secret, because I want to bring up Georgia real quick, that there is a SEC bias towards the SEC. NCAA is not hiding anymore. The other day, they looked at Georgia and they said to them, and they brought up the thing that says 31 straight home wins for the Bulldogs. That is most or tied most in FCS history or FBS history, whichever one to say. That's tied most. Okay. Then what about the University of Miami? 58 straight home wins. 58. That is most ever. Okay? Ever in college football. So for you to say Georgia has the most, what the fuck are you talking about? What in the world are you talking about? So they didn't do the research. They did not do the research, and it's pretty obvious. Now let's look at the bigger bone. All right? Let's look at the bigger bone. University of Miami, the final record of regular season is 10-2 with two pretty close loss, but still both of the games we lost by 5 or 4, which is close. The only reason why is because our defense. We would have been undefeated if our defense coordinator just had some adjustments in the second half, in which he didn't do so. Fine. We were number 6 ranked going into Syracuse, and then we freaking lost in Syracuse, and then we end up not going to ACC title game. Fine. However, Alabama is 9-3 of the season, okay? 9-3 to end the season. I'm going to go over Alabama's record. First off, I think for the most part, I'm not going to say the entire thing. For the most part, easy schedule. Okay, they got Western Kentucky, which they beat the shit out of them 63 nothing. Then they beat the Bulls, South Florida Bulls, 42-16. They go to Wisconsin and play the Badgers. Tyler Van Dyke is their quarterback, 42-10. Fine. And then a really close game against Georgia, which would then put them up number 1. But then they lost to Vanderbilt. So their number 1 seed is relinquished. And then they just barely won against South Carolina. Okay, South Carolina's a good team. Okay, they're a good team. They were undermined, South Carolina. They are undermined. And then a ranked 11 Tennessee team, and Georgia's ranked 2. I understand they were number 2 at that time, but then they go to Tennessee, the Volunteers in Knoxville, and they lost to them 24-17. A good game. Then they go back to Alabama, and they played against Missouri. It's a ranked team. Sure, they're number 21 rankings. They beat them 34-0. Missouri didn't even have a chance. And this was a blowout win against LSU, right? Fine, we can make that case there. But then the rest of the schedule, they beat Mercer 52-7. I think it's just a bad choice to put that there. And then the one game that really stand out to most players or most teams for our fan base that really stood out to a lot of people. They lost to an unranked Oklahoma team who finished their season 6-6. This team, expectations weren't there for Oklahoma, but they beat Alabama, a number 7 ranked team, 24-3. Okay, 24-3. That is not close. That game was not close. It was not a close game. I don't know what happened with Alabama. I didn't even watch the game. But how could you say they are eligible for a playoff for a game like that? How? And then they finished season against 28-14 against Auburn. So they finished their season 9-3. And I did the math, okay? I did this math before I recorded this video. I put up a calculator. I put the final scores in all the Alabama games, all the final score of the Alabama games where Alabama scored, okay? They scored on their games, and it all came back, right? It came back, and you could do this yourself just so that you know that I'm not lying. 426 total points in Alabama season. 426 points. Now, for Miami, one of the best offensive teams in the country with a lackluster defense. You know how many points they scored in the entire season at the University of Miami? And again, you can do this yourself. You can do this yourself so that you know that I'm not making this up. 530 offensive points Miami has put out in the season. 530, which includes the remarkable offense and a couple of pick six for the Hurricanes. I also want to point out this in the college football rankings. Number 12, Miami versus number 11, Alabama. Record against bowl-eligible teams on the road. This is on the road. Forget at home. On the road. 4-2, okay? 4-2 Miami. We only lost 2 games, which was both Georgia Tech and Syracuse. Everyone else, 4 wins in bowl eligible. Alabama on the road, 1-3. 1-3. They can't compete against bowl eligible teams on the road. 1-3. I mean, look. That is a 21-point loss for a team that was supposed to be number 7 in FBS. Okay? Or 13, whichever number you want to say. I think this was 7 going down to 13, okay? That is a 21-point loss. For the other games, on a road especially, 5-point loss, which was bad enough, and a 4-point loss, which is also devastating, which also devastated our chance to go to ACC championship game. Ward Manuel explains why ranked Alabama over Miami. They're saying because of the fact that Alabama had a couple of wins against ranked teams, and the fact that the offense was just better, I think that's what he said. It all came down to a top 25 ranked team type of thing. But they got smoked by a Sooners team. Let me explain this, okay? It doesn't matter if they're winless. They could still go to the freaking playoff. Because you know why? It all came down to money. Money comes from Alabama that most viewers want lose. This team and the college football or CFP committee, this is a joke. They always somehow find a way to find a reason to put Alabama in the playoff picture no matter the record. It's so bad. It's so corrupt. It's so blatantly biased at what they're doing. And it screwed other teams. Okay? Screwed other teams from going higher. I'll give you a perfect example. Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a big example here. I think they're more deserving than freaking Alabama did. They go on the road. They're pretty tough. They're pretty, they have a hard time playing on the road. Fine. But coming into the season, they're number 6 ranked. But yet at home, they handled Georgia Bulldogs no problem, 28-10. And then they lost to Florida, which is, playing in Gainesville was tough enough. I mean, no problem for us. But I feel like Ole Miss was screwed out of it. You know who else was screwed? I can't believe I have to bring this up. I have to bring them up, even though I despise them. And I'm sorry, I'm a U fan. I'm going to say it. I hate this team with a burning passion. They screwed a team like fucking Florida State. They've screwed Florida State out of the playoff. Okay, Florida State, I hate Florida State, but they should have gone top 5 or top 4 last year, but instead, 13-0, winning the ACC championship was not enough to go to the NCAA playoff. How is that possible? They put Alabama 12-1 up there instead. I mean, I get it. They got smoked by Georgia, but still, you would think they would deserve it. I'm so tired. I am so tired of the fact that Alabama always gets their way of just somehow going into these things. I'm not being a hater. Let me explain this. I can admire how good Alabama is, okay? They are a good football team. They brought Alabama back to life under Nick Saban, who retired. But then you gotta get them out somehow, right? I mean, I'll call them back. Why is it that they somehow get into the playoff when they have a lower record like Miami, for example? It's a big example. We got snubbed out of the playoffs. All right? We got snubbed out of the playoffs. Arizona State got snubbed out of the playoffs. And Arizona State is good. Iowa State's also pretty good. BYU is another one who I feel like was deserving. UNLV, 10-2. Why are they all the way down 20? Why? I don't understand why they're that low. They are that low when they have a 10-2 record, much like, Ohio State, Georgia, Tennessee, all of them have a 10-2 record. The difference being it's an SEC type of thing. The only exception is Ohio State. They're in the Big Ten. But you see my point? Why is there so much bias towards the one team in the one conference? Why? The best ACC team has an 11-1 record, but they're number 8. They are number 8 in the nation. But teams in front of them, Tennessee, Ohio State, and Georgia, 2 of 3 are SEC teams with a 10-2 record, are in front of SMU. Indiana, Boise State, why are they in the 10, 9, and 8? Why? Okay? I'm fine with them being a top 10. But why the hell is Alabama at number 11 when they're 9 and 3? You see what I'm trying to say? You see what I'm getting at? And why, and this is the most importantly, why the hell was Miami dropped 6 freaking points down? They were number 6 heading into the Syracuse game. Why did they lose 6 points? Why? It's a 4-point loss. 21-point comeback? Okay. But was that really enough to justify us losing 6 points? Are you dead ass? CFP committee? Are you kidding me? It makes no sense. This whole thing, the college football playoff ranking, it makes no sense at all. It just makes no sense. There's nothing good about this whatsoever. I understand that both of the losses were our fault. Our defenses were a huge blame. And they are. I'm not saying that because we lost and this and that. I'm not saying that. It's unexcusable why we lose these games. It's unexcusable. But why did they have to be dropped down 6 points? Why? This was one of the best seasons we had in 7 years, and then we have to play a bowl game that is practically meaningless. It's sanity. It is absolutely insanity that it came down to it. It is so bullshit. And FSU fans might agree that this bias for Alabama is getting out of hand. It's crazy. It is so crazy to me that we get snubbed by bullshit with the fact that we won one more game over Alabama is crazy enough to me. They just look for a reason to put Alabama in. You know why? You know why? Money. It all comes down to it. I'm not talking about it. I think it's just bullshit. Yeah, it's a rant. This is a rant. This is a joke. CFP committee is a joke. They are a joke of the NCAA football. I don't even think they watch the games, to be honest. They don't watch the games. They just look at it and see how it is. And even if they do watch the games, why is that other teams are being undermined? And also, too, that some close games, like the Hurricanes, big prime example, they only dropped 2 or 3 spots. But yet we dropped 6. That's bullshit. That is so bullshit. And I just, again, I don't understand. I just don't understand this at all, man. I really don't understand it. And the AP top 25, right? The AP, this is totally different. They have Miami at 14. Meanwhile, Alabama's at 11. Miami would have been 2 teams behind. Alabama 9-3, South Carolina 9-3. South Carolina AP poll has 13th spot. Arizona State with 10-2. It's amazing how Miami would be behind 2 9-3 teams in AP poll. That's incredible. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy to me. It's just bullshit. It is so bullshit. And you know what? So be it. That's your decision. I think it's an incredibly stupid decision. We can agree to disagree. But oh my God, when does the bias stop? When does it stop? I shouldn't have to make a video like this, but I did. Because I speak for most Miami fans. that this is getting out of hand. It's getting carried away, and we're not going to stand by it no more. We are done. We are done with that bullshit. Something needs to change from the seasons, from next season to beyond. Get it right, because you are fools. You are total fools. That's where I'll leave it. CFP committee, such a joke, and so be it. Anyway, I'll see you guys tonight for the Heat recap, and yeah, folks, good night.